Yeah, okay. I don't have experience with a bunch of them, although I guess I'll say it's a little more like spiritual harsh teachers. I think the idea of like, oh, demons and, you'll get material benefits, but they're gonna mess things up and screw you over and sour your life. Some people invoke these beings and then they don't banish them. Invoke or evoke them, but don't banish them. Also, there's a difference between doing an evocation with a triangle where the being is isolated to a spot, and then invoking and actually having them into like the software of who you are, right? They're having some access to your energy body. So that being said, I would say that interacting with them isn't that dangerous as people seem to think. They will make your life worse. They're a teacher through hardship, for sure. Like, cause I did Goetia, and then I got into Shaivism. I think I did Shaivism after I got into Goetia, and then I did what's it called? Tantra. My being a bit absent-minded right now. I've been talking a lot. And then now I'm looking to do Inoki. So, well, I kind of returned to Goetia again just now. And it's funny because this being Leviathan recommended me to do Goetia, which I don't think he appears in the Goetia. And then I looked into it and I was like, because I don't like the book The Ars Goetia. I just don't. I don't think it tells you much about the being, in my opinion. Like the vessel that the demons are in. On one hand, I think there might be a physical vessel somewhere that Solomon built, but Damien Eccles gave this interpretation that the vessel is you, and that they're sort of taking up residence in your body, which has been my, I've had some experience with that. I see a lot of people invoke these beings, the demonolators, and just leave it at that, and they'll go through a lot of hardship in life, and then they'll come out stronger. And they'll be like possessed for a while. I even have a personal friend like this. They'll be possessed for a while, like partially. And what's happening is the being is driving their life, but the being is driving their life, and then they move on and sort of learn the lessons, and then they get their life back, and then they're more powerful, and they're getting like, let's say, the good things that the being provides, I find it a little bit problematic sometimes, but I think that doing the Goetic demonolatry is a very comprehensive way to grow, and I think it's a good shortcut. But it is a shortcut, and there is some problems with that. There is some issue with it being a shortcut, where it's like it's very dangerous in that sense. I think it's very dangerous because if you can't handle something and you just really try and reject the work, I think that can really backfire, and you can get some much worse results. But see, I don't know if people even really do that. Like, it's like the pomegranate, right? That's a lot of occult groups like, because if you go into the underworld and you taste of the fruits of the underworld, then you're never gonna want to leave. And I think that's beautiful. And I like the underworld, but not everyone does. So, like, is Persephone trapped? Is Persephone a prisoner? Or is she actually, in a way, more powerful for being in the dark and the light? For having that time into the underworld, into the machinery of the world, you know? So, and then that's another thing is, are subterranean beings really, you know, quote-unquote evil, or are they more like, just a bit different, like having a different philosophy? It can be a really difficult thing to suss out because, you know, Asmodeus, I would say, is a little more clearly to the point of being evil. Something like Belial is, but then you have, like, Astaroth, and Astaroth has described himself to me as sort of the bridge between the angels and the demons, you know? He's almost sort of mercurial in that way, which is interesting because he has no planetary affiliation with Mercury. But, yeah, Astaroth is cool. I like Astaroth. I love working with Astaroth. He's one of my favorites of Goetia. He's my favorite Goetic spirit, yeah. I've worked with Lucifer, but Lucifer kind of evades me. I think I'm so much of a Astaroth type person, and I think actually through an old Disney film, it got invoked into me. I was watching Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and the witch at the end is like calling upon Astaroth, and I think that was actually supposed to be an invocation for the viewer, like to invoke into the viewer's Astaroth, because that's what happened to me. But I think I've worked with Astaroth in previous lifetimes, so I'm not over here salty or anything. And he's great, you know, he really is. But the thing is, I also didn't just work with one Goetic being. I sort of worked with, like, what? Several, I would say, two main ones I worked with at the same time. And not actually thinking about it right now, that explains some of my problems that I had. So yeah.